Hello, I'm Bassel Mouzi from Qatar Computing Research Institute, and I will be presenting my paper titled Can LLMs Facilitate the Interpretation of Pre-trained Language Models? One of the holy grades of NLP interpretation is to determine what linguistic knowledge is learned within a neural language models, and how is this knowledge used in predictions. Towards this goal, researchers have either probed models towards predefined linguistic properties, such as lexical or syntactic concepts, or they have used a human in the loop to understand what latent concepts are learned in a model. These two approaches are limited by different aspects. The former probes the model for predefined human concepts, and it ignores the concepts learned within the model. Moreover, it ignores the ontology that the model preserves for itself. The latter is prone to the subjectivity, scalability, and the limited domain knowledge of annotators. Large language models such as GPT have been trained on large amounts of textual data. This has allowed them to develop substantial knowledge about different linguistic concepts, and it also has allowed them to develop a massive knowledge base. In this work, we show that using large language models for annotation can address the problems that we mentioned, and it can help facilitate the interpretation of pre-trained language models. We perform a forward pass on the pre-trained language models, and we cluster the hidden representations to obtain latent concepts. We annotate these concepts using ChatGPT, thus covering a wide range of latent concepts and an ontology that does not necessarily adhere to the predefined human concepts. Based on our finding, we show that these LLM-based annotation can empower interpretation analysis, in which we showcase the probing framework and the neuron analysis on the annotated latent spaces of 5 different transformer models. We release the annotated concepts from these 5 transformer models in the Transformers ConceptNet dataset. Our work extends the latent concept analysis work, which hypothesized that the contextualized word representations grouped together in high-dimensional space form latent concepts in neural language models. A concept is bound by a common lexical, morphological, semantic, or syntactic property. We begin by doing a forward pass on the model. We cluster the hidden representations or the feature vectors, thus obtaining clusters that we denote as latent concepts, and we annotate these latent concepts using ChatGPT. This is a pictorial representation of our framework. As we can see, using a predefined human concepts only covers a small portion of the latent concepts learned by the models. Similarly, using a human annotation, as was done in the prior work, also covers a small portion of the possible latent concepts learned by the model. However, when we use a large language model for annotation, we can extend this to a wide range of concepts. Here are some samples of latent concepts. On the left, we have a semantic concept learned in BERT, which represents Spanish male names. And on the right, we have a morphological concept learned in Albert, which represents adjectives with the less suffix. In order to evaluate the ability of ChatGPT as an annotator, we conduct a human evaluation by comparing the resulting ChatGPT annotations with the BERT ConceptNet human annotations. The BERT ConceptNet is a dataset of latent concepts annotated by humans. In order to conduct the evaluation, we ask the annotators 3 different questions. In the first one, we ask them whether the label produced by ChatGPT is acceptable. In the second question, we ask them whether the label is precise. And in the third one, we ask them whether the ChatGPT label is superior to the human annotation of the same concept or not. So, for example, in the first question, we ask them whether the label produced by ChatGPT is acceptable. And here's an example of an acceptable label of a concept produced by ChatGPT. The model labeled the shown concept as list of music artists and bands. In the second question, we ask them whether the label is precise, because an acceptable label might not really convey the relationship between the underlying words precisely. So, for example, labeling this concept as a list of music artists and bands is acceptable. However, it's not very precise, as a more precise label would be rock bands and the musicians in the United States. Finally, we ask the annotators whether the ChatGPT label is superior to the human annotations of the same concept or not. And here, we show a concept in which the ChatGPT label was more accurate to the human label. The model labeled this concept as education-related terms, while the humans failed to identify a relationship between the shown words. Here's a pictorial representation of our methodology. We first begin by clustering hidden representation in the model. We then obtain the latent concepts and we annotate them using a large language model. And then we perform interpretability analysis using the obtained annotated concepts. As we mentioned, our annotations facilitate large-scale interpretation analysis. And in our paper, we showcase the probing framework and the neuron analysis. In the probing framework, we train linear classifiers on the hidden representations of a model to investigate whether it has learned a certain concept or not. And in a neuron analysis, we extract salient neurons in the network with respect to a concept. Thanks a lot for attending, and please check out the paper for more details.